Let's have a look at the Fuso starting grid to check out the way they line up for race number 12. It's an all Red Bull front row. Whincup and Lowndes will lead them away. Row number 2, we've got Mark Winterbottom and Fabian Coulthard, positions 3 and 4. Row 3 of the grid, 5 and 6, Scott McLaughlin and Alex Davison. Fresh engine in that car, a lot of work between the gap. Will Davison and David Reynolds are next. We're seeing a lot of the Ford Performance Racing built cars at the top end of the field here. For VIP Pet Foods, Shane Van Gisbergen, the fast Kiwi with David Wall. That's a great performance inside the top 10.
Career best qualifier for David Wall. Chaz Mostert about to head out for just his 3rd ever V8 supercar race. Lee Holdsworth taken out on the opening lap of our previous race, so he'll be keen to get back into the action. James Courtney had good pace earlier today. Russell Ingall done about 50 races here over the course of his career. James Moffat's been in much better form than that qualifying position suggests, and he's got a good bank of tyres too, so keep your eyes out for the Norton 360 Nissan. Garth Tander, 23rd position. He'll want to forget about this weekend at his home circuit. Just hasn't played out the way he would have liked. Scott Pye and Alexander Premer making up our 28 cars.
And Alex Premer and Scott Pye did the complete race last time without coming in. So did local Dean Fiore. He did a fantastic job to finish just outside the top 10 in 13th position. On board there with Chaz Mostert, as we've commented over the weekend. It's been a very impressive debut for him in WA.
So for Fiore, that gamble, that little strategy play, he got bumped to 13th just on the last lap. Up until that point, he was about 8th or 9th. Our statistician, Oscar Fiorinotto, picked that, our engineer in the box, that was about where he's going to land. But it was actually a pretty good play because he qualified 22nd, so it was a good net gain.
And drop it there, brother, perfect.
So that's Mark Dutton and Jeremy Moore just bringing the 2 drivers up onto the grid and making sure they're parked just a little bit back from the end of the box.
So remember, there's a greasy line on the right-hand side of the circuit as we look at it.
You asked me before about how many laps Russell Ingall's done. There's all that oil soak on the left side of your screen there at the moment. I can't give you the lap number, Matty, but it all started in 1996 for Russell.
So the Red Bull Racing Australia Commodores side by side, the 2 race winners so far this weekend. Whincup and Lowndes. Grease on the circuit to the right. They all spear over to the other side. And that's going to make it interesting at turn 1. And Mark Winterbottom's already putting pressure on Craig Lowndes and will assume 2nd position.
It was a very good start from Lowndes on the outside. He didn't lose too much. And one of, I think it's Maro Engel or Tim Slade. I think it's Engel. Yep, off the road at turn 1. He may have got some assistance there.
I think it was Engel, and I believe he's also been adjudged a jump start as well, and that's a judge of fact decision, that one, so that'll involve a pit lane penalty. Whincup, Winterbottom, Lowndes. Great performance by Winterbottom to aggressively jump in there and split those 2 Red Bull Holdens. A lot of covering going on to the inside. Holdsworth down the inside. So is Tim Slade. That's Dean Fiore behind him in the Dodo entry.
Oh, he's going to get a bump here. Thought Dean was going to unload Tim then, didn't you? So Tim Slade just got the Mercedes turned in. He had a little bit of a bumping session with Dean Fiore in the Dodo Commodore. This is an amazing ride over the curb at turn 3.
That's a great shot too, because it shows you just how much they plummet into the bowl at turn 6 from the crest of the hill. One of the things that's a real hallmark of this racetrack, and look at this, I reckon Winterbottom might even get up the inside here with that sort of traction, is that the place has got terrific undulation. There's a huge amount of rise and fall, notably here on the change from 5th to 6th. They run into the final braking area at 7. It's very uphill, and then off turn 7 it actually runs quite a bit downhill onto this pit straight. Great little racetrack.
We thought 22, James Courtney, was going to come in. He reported a bit of damage potentially on the left front, but at this stage he's elected to stay out. The team got ready for him to come in, but he's carried on past the pits this time.
Yeah, he dropped 4 spots straight away and ended up partnered up with his teammate Garth Tander. Murph, so Early dramas for James Courtney, but early pace for Mark Winterbottom.
He's pushing hard because he wants to force the issue. If he can get that clear air, he can relax everything and cool the brake temps and be easier on the tyres. So it's maximum attack for him at the moment. Everybody's getting into some weird zones at the moment in their cold tyre pressures for the way in which they start the race, trying to maximise grip and performance. So they've got to be very careful as they wobble off the edges of the racetrack here as well. Here's the replay of the start.
And on board on the right-hand side there with Winterbottom. So, yeah, he definitely got a good jump. And I think also Lowndes suffered from the fact of the oil slick on the left-hand side.
I think Mark said it before, his initial jump looked pretty good as Engel goes off on the outside of one. But the secondary part of his start when he grabbed a gear looked pretty ordinary.
This is from Reynolds. Like to be in the middle of this pack, wouldn't you? So that's up the inside, a little bump there for Fabian. And the grip level at the start is so low, and around the first half a lap, cars move around so much, especially with the tyre pressures that Neil was referring to before. And there's a lot of aggro there with Prema and Todd Kelly.
Yeah, so those temperatures and pressures have normalised now for Jamie Whincup, and you can see he's just nailed the fastest lap of the race, and he's eased up that margin a little bit. So see, he's skipped away. So it's taken him a lap or two to just find his feet. Now things have settled down. That looked like an awkward moment back there before.
And Todd Kelly's coming in, Neil. He's got a tyre damage, I think, as a consequence of that drama that was unfolding in front of us a second ago. And Mostert putting a lot of pressure on Van Gisbergen. He's right in this battle. It's been a very impressive debut. I said it before, David Wall right in behind. How's the mixture of experience here with Russell Ingall bumping him the whole way around turn one? And this is Rick on the outside, Prema, Todd on the inside. Now there's going to be a bump here. Going to be a bump. There's a bump. He gets away with it. Then he runs him off the road and it's popped a tyre. That's why he went straight ahead. So that was a good bit of driving by Jonathan Webb. Have a look.
Super slow-mo. This will be pretty telling. So now Todd's got the understeer, it won't turn. Look at it pushing across the road, cuts them both out into the stuff where there's zero grip. Look at the steering angle on the car, on Todd's car. He's got a huge amount of right lock and it just won't go where he's pointing it.
And there's the wall right there. They would look like, the two of them would think they're going in the fence. And that's going fast. That's 190 kilometres an hour. And look how close they end up going to the fence. Todd's got the front wheels locked. So then he knows that you go through the grass and you're going to make the bitumen again in a second. Have a look at this. I've never seen a train ride through there.
Wow, that's insane. And what else has gone on down here? Big lock-up for Whincup down at turn 7.
And I heard Lowndes on the radio discussing it, so he must have chimed in to explain what he saw. So that will, I imagine, have put a pretty significant mark on the inside front Jamie Whincup's Dunlop tyre.
He's done a good job to keep on. There must be a run. See there's oil there. That's what it's caught it. So that's actually happened from the start. And when Whincup's put his foot on the brake, he's grabbed the oil patch.
And that was telling there too, because Whincup just went around it on that lap.
A post-race investigation, incidentally, between cars 7 and 34, Todd Kelly and Alex Prema. Mauro Engel's car back in, as you can see, in the Erebus garage, and the fastest man in Sector 1 on this lap was Jason Bright, who's down the order slightly. He's in 9th, recovering from that tough qualifying where the gear lever broke. But he's got to try and apply that pace now.
And Mauro Engel's had trouble with they call it hanging up, meaning that the engine idle stays at a higher rev range than he'd liked. Bright goes down the inside of Alex Davison. Very good job. So Murray's had that drama with the new throttle body inlet manifold that they've got on the bends this weekend.
Well, nothing from the team as far as Alex Premo's car, any damage that they know of at this stage. He's continuing on, but that was one very close call with the wall there.
For both of them, for Alex and for Todd Kelly, and when they get to that investigation, they're going to have a lot of camera angles to look at.
Actually, neither of them will get in trouble because I mean, they actually weren't doing the wrong thing. Todd's tyre was flat and he had nowhere to go.
Tim Slade's come into the lane as well, so that's two of the Mercedes-Benz AMG cars in the lane. There's Jonathan Webb at the back. Here's the super slow-mo again. Check it out as we go to the break.
There's our 7-sport mega wall. And smack bang in the middle, you can see a very concerned Ryan Maddison, the CEO of Erebus Motorsport. The reason is both Tim Slade and Maro Engel are now in the garage, so Lee Holdsworth's the only operator. And Slade has some problems that they're trying to get the bottom of right now.
And between races, they had to clear the radiator of Lee Holdsworth's car from that previous event. It was jam-packed solid with sand. And look at this, just a little bit of rubber has got down in there between the brake rotor and the rim, and you can imagine the temperatures in there. Peak temperatures when you've got traffic around you here in the front brakes are about 850 degrees Celsius. Scott Sinclair, one of the engineers at the Holden Racing team. So you don't need much. You get a huge amount of rubber debris all around the racetrack with these softer tyres, and so you don't need much of it in there for that to happen. It's not actually as bad as it looks.
So Whincup's the leader by 1.6 seconds. We're taking a look at James Courtney, who's in 19th after starting 16th, and we said at the start to keep an eye on the likes of James Moffat, who's got a good set of tyres and has had a good run this weekend, and he's moved from 20th up to 16th.
And James got a bit of damage on the front of that Holden Racing Team Commodore and the front bumper assembly skew with, and I noticed he had a huge understeer through turn 4 there, so it won't be helping his cause. As we go on board here with Holdsworth, 18. Why don't we just listen to the Mercedes-AMG song for a lap around Wanneroo, around Barbagallo Raceway, because this thing sounds pretty cool. Let's have a listen. Meantime, it's on here at the moment between Will Davison and Scotty McLaughlin side by side through 1, then 2. Will holds on as they skate literally through 2 and 3. And he changed the direction there and this little crest in the road. That was pretty wild stuff.
So that's a positional change. Will moves up to 4th.
Sounded good, didn't it?
Yeah, sounded great.
And those engines prepared by HWA in Germany, and they had engineering staff down in Tasmania, 2 race meetings back at Erebus Motorsport just to continue to tickle along the development of those cars, and they've brought some of that development with them this weekend. There's one of the cars driven by Tim Slade. Very different configuration crankshaft in the heart of the engine, and that's the reason for the very different sound. Whincup's got a margin of 1.7 seconds from Winterbottom, and then Lowndes, Will Davison, Scotty McLaughlin, Fabian Coulthard, Jason Bright. Brighty's up to 7th from that poorer qualifying position. Then it's Reynolds, Davison and Van Gisbergen, and I think Bright was 12th, so he's made a bunch of spots, and so is Garth Tander, so he's racing well.
So on lap 14 out of 42, tyre life will start to play a part in this race soon.
okay, other tyres okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's put it front. In this one, please.
Boys are ready.
This is the chilled Perth 360, and it is all happening at Barbagallo Raceway. In the break, we had some action down at turn 7, and as a result, we've got pit stops, we've scattered the field. A big question mark over whether there was anything on the road.
Boys, ready to quick turnaround after this one as well, please. Boys, quick turnaround. Mate, you know the drill. Nice and steady in the box for the boys. Brake and clutch for us. No spinning of the wheels.
Yeah, well, this is going to be interesting because this has prompted some activity down in the pits. Now I can see the FPR cars in. Now Wingcup's in really good shape. If you look at the tyres that's going on, 4 green tyres. So whilst that hurt him, he's going to be having a really good recovery. I'll be keen to find out, and I'll get back to you, in fact, what caused that little off.
Get the other tyres, go back around.
No drama here for Ford Performance Racing and Winterbottom. They've got a wheel nut problem in the front right corner, Murph.
Absolute shocker down there. They had a wheel nut stick in the wheel. They couldn't get the wheel off at all. They lost a lot of time on the right front. Maybe, I'd say, 6 or 8 seconds.
So we'll clean this up for you in a moment, folks, because all of a sudden there's a whole heap of things going on at once. You've arrived back just as everybody was recovering from what happened. So Wingcup came in, Winterbottom came in ahead of schedule, having gone off the racetrack at turn 7. Will Davison's in now as well. It leaves Lowndes in the lead of the race, by the way, from Scotty McLaughlin and Fabian Coulthard.
When these stops are done, we'll show you what happened, because at turn 7, the 2 leaders arrowed off the road. We think there's some stuff on the road, as in some lubricant or some water or some glycol or certainly something that they arrived, and both the guys straight off the road. Have a look at this.
Let's explain it. So we've got some replays here. Now, Engel goes off the road down here with glycol. So that's the green fluid you can see. It's engine coolant coming from that car. Meantime, these guys arrive on it down here. They can't stop. They're the first on the crime. The first to arrive. And they pay the penalty as the pioneers. So Wingcup and Winterbottom both went off on those greasy conditions. So you can hear how much of a struggle it was. They pick the throttle up and come out the other side. So first of all, the locking brakes. And then you've got to pick the throttle up and try and deal with all that. And so Engel's just peeled off the road here on that early pit lane entry. So it just scattered the pack. So the first 2 paid a huge price.
Good to go.
As Lowndes, for being pioneers, for being first on the spot with all that fluid on the road. Now this is critical because Lowndes has popped out in front of Wingcup, but Wingcup lost a heap of time, remember. I know that Larko said he's got 4 new tyres, and we'll see how he recovers, but remember, he'd already lost a pile of time relative to those he was racing, together with Winterbottom, when he went off the road. Now the safety car's out.
Keep pushing around, keep going, mate.
This will be interesting, because some people are going to keep on going at racing speed. We've got a car off, it's Michael Caruso. So Caruso's gone off in the Norton Nissan.
Just stand by. You need to wave the cars behind you through. Wave the cars behind you through.
Now, what's gone on here? Some issue between the teammates. So James Moffat may have had a tyre problem, because why is he out there skating like that? Has he been given a shove? So he's out there picking up all kinds of rubbish on those tyres. Meantime, Wingcup, by the way, with that new set of tyres on, he went out and immediately punched out the fastest lap of the race. Now, this has really scrambled the egg here, just trying to unravel who's popped up where. His cars have been coming in and out. The safety car's now gone out to neutralise the field. There's Michael Caruso stepping out of the Nissan Altima. Lowndes is the leader of the race. They'll pick him up. Here's the Petters STP safety car, and Todd Kelly goes by. We'll clean it all up in the break, come back and explain it in just a tick here in Perth.
Are you at the scene, over?
Confirm that, Tim.
Alistair, 47 is the last car. Once that's through, you then got the safety car at 60 kilometres an hour.
So we've made it to the halfway mark of the final race of the Chill Perth 360. The whole world's changed on us. That's answered the question why Michael Caruso ended up off the road. A vital component missing off car number 36.
Lots of drama in here because some guys ended up having to double stack. So you can see Alex Davison behind. So there's a drama here in Coulthard's. Wrong tyres have gone on that car. Then Van Gisbergen drives through the FPR pit. Davison was double stacked behind. There you go. He's double stacked, so he drives straight through. It's like Pitt Street.
That's just nailed Alex Davison. That's put him down in 18th. The Norton Nissans getting a ride out of there. Craig Lowndes leads the race. Jamie Whincup, by virtue of getting processed through pit lane at that time, managed to do a pretty good rescue job, Red Bull Racing Australia, after arriving down at turn 7 and losing the lead after skating on some coolant down there. So it's mixed things up with 21 laps to go.
Yeah, disaster for one of the Norton cars with Michael Caruso's wheel coming off, but a super stop by the team to get James Moffat out. He's moved up to 8th and he's on a green set of tyres.
And he come from 20th, Murph, so that is a really good run. The other guy that's done a great job is Garth Tander. He started 23rd, and Garth is now 10th.
And the season best performance for young James Moffat so far was a 9th, race 7, Pukekohe in New Zealand. So where he is at the moment, 8th in this field, if he can stay there, on for a very strong performance. Anytime you can get a car that's still in the brand new development phase of season 1, is a very impressive performance. So those guys have been doing a good job. Both he and Michael Caruso, I think, have been driving very well in the recent races.
Now, as you watched all that roll out, you're probably wondering why Jamie, why that triggered the pit stops just because he went off the track, because they probably were just a couple of laps short of where they ideally wanted to come in to split that race, as we showed you. Well, here's the tyres that came off Jamie's car. Now, I've showed you plenty of times with the heat gun. When they come into the pit lane, they'll be 100 degrees centigrade. On the track, that'll be more like 130, 140. Now, if I try and brush my hand off there, look, the sand doesn't even come off. The sand is embedded in the tyre. The net result, a lap of grip. Now, let's just try and grab a quick word, if we can, Jeremy Moore, Craig Lowndes' engineer. Mate, in a good position. I reckon you guys have got a battle here now. You've got to keep everyone behind you, manage your tyres, and race your good buddy just over 3 feet away from you here.
Oh, absolutely, mate. It's going to be a tough race to the end. There's no team orders here, but we'll do our best to come out on top. But hey, it's a team game still, and we'll do what's best for the team first and foremost.
Thanks, Jerry, for the heads up. We'll grab a quick word with Dutto here. Hey, Mark Dutton, who's Jamie Winkup's engineer, just had a word to Jerry. This is hard, mate, isn't it? Because you've got to compete against each other here, but you're going to have everyone climbing over the top here. How are you going to manage that?
Well, we've seen them do it time and time again. They're very professional. So while they race hard, they're not going to take each other out, but they're still going to race. We want to win, they want to win. At the end of the day, we'll be happy. But obviously,
I get a sense, though, Dutto, that the rivalry between them has intensified this year.
Well, I think at the start it did, but it's for me it's back down a little bit because we haven't been as dominant as other years. So we've really, as a whole team, drivers included, boys, everyone have got together, pushed to be a single unit to work to be competitive against everyone else.
Anyway, good luck, mate. It's fascinating to watch.
Thanks, Larko.
And Larko, Scafey, those tyres that you were just having a look at.
Yes, mate.
See how the grey, the look of them, when they don't work, they don't have that really dark colour to them, do they? It's totally like a light grey, total different surface, isn't it?
It's an awful looking colour. You can see a little bit of scrubbing here on the edge, but yeah, you're dead right, mate. And that's a really good indicator of when you go off, and not just here at Wanneroo, when you have a little off on the circuit, we talk about it, don't we, mate? Like how long it takes you to get back up to speed. You got to try and get that out. You got to wear that out of the tyre. And round here, well, that's just a drama. It's game over.
There's a bit of feathering on those too, so they're actually looking quite stressed.
So when the tyres are good, they've got a really oily, dark look. So on certain surfaces, they work better than others. And this place, because of the very open nature of the surface, the very, very abrasive surface at Barbagallo Raceway, the tyres wheel spin. And then look at that. And what you said about the feathering comes from the wheel spin. So it just basically buzzes the tyre up and tries to tear the surface of the tyre off.
And heat stress in there as well. Now, interesting, that command that you heard a little earlier for Whincup in particular, because we were watching it at the time as the lights go out, that giddy up of get on with it while you can, while that safety car was being deployed, that did get Whincup off the hook. So the way things have worked out here, that has actually worked. So he was able to get in, get his tyres, go back out, and then get on with it at basically racing pace. When everybody came in, when the safety car came out, they've all in varying ways been hurt, so it's popped Red Bull into a very good position here.
Jason Bright's done a great job also. He's got 8 positions. He's currently in 4th. So a big slide, the best restart that Whincup could put on, and his teammates gone with him.
So this is it, under 20 laps to go now. They've all been serviced in pit lane. Lowndes loves this track. Will Davison tucked in behind Jamie Whincup. Will's the only Ford driver to salute the checkered flag so far this season.
On board now with Dave Reynolds, right up behind Scott McLaughlin. Bright looks very good on the way into Kolb, doesn't he?
He's got great pace there, and he has all weekend.
The amount of times I've seen Jason Bright set the fastest first sector time through either qualifying or throughout the race, he just continues. He loves that part of the circuit. A bit of ducking and weaving here between James Moffat and Garth Tander. So a 56.9 to start with for Craig Lowndes.
James tried to cover him, but there was a Holden in the way there, so he had to yield. Tander gets down the inside, so that's now for position 9 for Garth Tander. And remember that Winterbottom was going toe-to-toe here with Jamie Whincup in the early phase of this race. The Super Slow-Mo is showing us a lot of action and wild stuff over this turn 2-3 complex. But for Winterbottom, the drama for him in that pit stop meant that he's way down in 20th at the moment. So while one guy got away with it, sliding off on someone else's material, the other paid a huge price.
Lowndes' pace, very good. Fastest lap of the race, 56.9. So even though there is that lubricant on the road and he's on for another fastest lap now, you'll have to be careful not to take too much sting out of these tyres too early. Sometimes if you buzz them up, achieve the temperature too early, too quickly, it has a big effect later in the race. So Lowndes, fastest lap, 56.82 now. Drops that marker by almost 1/10 of a second compared to his previous fastest. Whincup, 57.1. Davison, 57.1. Bright, 57.0. Oh, gone. Davison runs wide at turn 4. He may have tyre drama there. He ran wide at the left-hander. Scott McLaughlin's going to get down the inside also. And he does. Whoa! That's the door skin off car 33. Oh, he's back up the inside again. It's pretty lively.
And now he knows it is there, Scott McLaughlin. I don't know if he was aware, but we could have ended up with a similar position that we had yesterday for Scotty Pye. So Will Davison muscles his way back to that position. And now Davey Reynolds buys in on the inside. And Shane Van Gisbergen as well.
Oh, two more off. It's Ingle and David Wall down at turn 6.
Safety car standby. We've got 2 cars off at turn 6 in the sand.
There's no use here. Got to stop now. Stop. Woo, 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 woo.
They've called him.
Yeah.
So he's dropped back into position there. So remember that Wall and Ingle got together yesterday in qualifying for race number 10. Russell ended up wearing a penalty. Now they're both off down here in the sand at turn 6.
And this is going to suit Lowndes because although he was leading, he had a 1.5 second lead, he did use those tyres very hard. Now, with the safety car, there'll be a lot less stress to finish this race based on the tyre condition.
It's all very good news for Jason Bright, who qualified 12th. He's now 3rd, and it keeps giving the tyres a breather. So they've all got younger tyres on, but when you cool them out like this, they get another life. Here's Russell Ingle.
And that lap time of Craig Lowndes, the fastest lap that he did on the restart of 56.8, is the second fastest lap done in any race across the weekend. He owns the fastest as well earlier today, 56.7. So he is flying, but more drama continuing here at Barbagallo.
Copy that, brother. Drop that, mate. We'll get onto it. We're all good at the moment, but yeah, we'll chase them up.
down here.
Safety car received.
Now this will be the last lap of the Petters safety car, with David Wall's car and Russell Ingall's car being removed from the circuit. Not a good way for Russell to finish what is his 50th race at Barbagallo Raceway. So that was the dive on the inside from Scotty McLaughlin as he lost the skin on the left-hand door. But importantly, got the position from Will Davison. However, it didn't last long because Will got it back by the time they got down to turn 7, and just behind them, the Wilson security car goes in, and it's followed by the Super Cheap Auto Commodore as well. It's the view from behind the Fujitsu entry. So that's Mark Winterbottom looking ahead to Alex Premer and Alex Davison side by side together down at turn 7. So Frosty's down in 18th. Your race leader's Craig Lowndes.
Safety car lights out, accelerating away from the field. Car 888, hold at 80.
From Jamie Whincup and Jason Bright. David Reynolds on track here for a top 10 finish. He's
safety car in pit lane.
And it's the two young Kiwis, Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin. And another Kiwi, Fabian Coulthard, and Garth Tan has moved up inside the top 10. So away we go.
Bad restart by Lowndes. Way too sideways. Way too sideways.
He's going to pay for it at the first turn. He loses the lead straight away. Whincup didn't miss a beat. Bright now tucked in behind Lowndes.
It was weird, wasn't it?
Went too early.
Yeah.
He had too much turning to do at the end, and he come off the corner too sideways, and Whincup had a run on him. It was a bad restart.
Only needed a couple of kilometres an hour, and it was everything he needed to sneak down the inside at turn 1, and it's handed it to him on a platter.
Young Mostert's doing a great job. He's just outside the top 10. He's battling with Moffat. So that's a change for the lead. Jamie Whincup now leading from Lowndes, Bright, Will Davison, Reynolds. This is Van Gisbergen down the inside for 5th spot. Little bump. Oh, very wide. Got away with it.
Oh, Tony D'Alberto ended up pretty wide around there too. Unusual to see Craig Lowndes just make that minor mistake, but just look at what it's done.
What is interesting is the gap that's opened out to Jason Bright. There's a problem here for James Courtney with the tape flapping there, and he was very wide at the turn in at turn 6. All of a sudden, just on that last lap, Bright lost proximity to those two lead cars.
Hey guys, so here with David Wall, he's walking back down to the pits, not very happy at all with what may have happened down at turn 6. We didn't get any vision of it on the TV, mate, so we'd like to have your opinion.
Yeah, look, Russell had a big dive bomb down in the inside of the corner there into turn 6 on the entry. I see him the last second, gave him a bit of room, ran into me, and then the next one pulled the upright out of the car, you know, so I don't know. I don't know if he's missed a pedal or something's gone on there, or maybe he's just losing his eyesight.
Well, that might be the case. We're not sure, but obviously you two had that moment yesterday. He came in front of you, had that massive accident yesterday as well. So the two of you have been spending a little bit too much time in close proximity.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, getting quite sick of it, to be honest. So, yeah, it's a long year. We'll see what happens.
David Wall from BJR.
Thanks, Murph. And, yeah, yesterday was a qualifying incident. David Wall was on a fast lap. He would have been in the top 5. Russell didn't see David. He was swerving on the main straight. They made contact, and he had an unbelievable slide down the inside of the road, ended up in the sand trap at turn 7, and fortunately no severe damage to that car, but it was a massive moment. And here we've got some drama unfolding with Garth Tander and Scott McLaughlin. Now, I think from the radio chat, Scott McLaughlin in the pit stop has still got the same left-hand rear tyre on, I think. So that would explain his pace. He was right up there at the back of the top 5, and since the stop has gone backwards.
Jamie Whincup has just done the fastest race lap of the weekend, 56.66.
Jason Bright's now 3 seconds away from the race leader. He's in third, so Bright chasing Lowndes, but 3 seconds adrift because of that extra pace that Whincup's got, as well as Moffat gets down the inside of McLaughlin at 6. Wasn't it funny, like in race 11, we saw a little bobble in the pit stop for Fabian Coulthard where he slipped on the concrete, but everything else that we saw at least looked pretty textbook. In this race, when things suddenly fall out of order, when there's a flurry because of a safety car intervention or someone goes off the road and they all dive into the pits, we've seen problems with wheels jam, guns not working, people getting tripped over others, not being able to get in and out of their bay. It just basically threw everybody, and there are lots who've paid a price.
Very true. There's been almost an unusual number of silly little mistakes, hasn't there? That basically it's filtered all the way through pit lane.
Mark Winterbottom continues to try and move his way up this ladder and get a bit of a rescue job going on what has been a disastrous third race. He's in 15th.
About 5 to go. 5 or 6 to go.
He must be spot on, Scapey, I reckon, about Scott McLaughlin, because he's a bit of a punching bag at the moment. They're all lining up to take a pot shot at him.
This may, just about to say with Mostert, this may get him into the top 10. So yes, he's now 10th after the McLaughlin pass. So that's a very good effort. James Moffat up to 9th. Garth Tander, tremendous fight back for Garth at his 200th championship event, and up into 8th from 23rd. Fabian Coulthard, we saw the drama in the pit, he's 7th. Van Gisbergen and Reynolds have had a race-long battle. Have a look at this complete lineup of cars from Lee Holdsworth back. He's in 13th. That's Mark Winterbottom down the inside. That's a good overtaking manoeuvre. Lee will try to do the crisscross. And I can't believe they've gapped Jason Bright by that much. Bright's had unbelievable speed all weekend, and he's 3 seconds behind Lowndes now. Alex Davison down the inside of Blanchard. Whoa. Gives him a bump. Probably shouldn't have turned in then, Tim.
Well, they were side by side at that spot last lap through. Alex took a huge lunge at him the previous time around. And before you know it, they end up next time around making contact.
Here it is again in replay, but this time from the other angle, and Alex was a long way up. So it flicks the Wilson Security Falcon around from Dick Johnson Racing, a little 180, and he comes to a safe stop. Here it is again from a third angle.
Yeah, certainly up far enough to be Alex Davison's
increased
corner.
Shell presence on that car.
Looks
and of course,
good,
Dick Johnson Racing had a wonderful association with Shell for years that netted Bathurst wins and championships. It's good to have them stepping up their involvement with that team. So 1 second is the margin. Whincup to Lowndes now. We'll get a fresh read on that gap from Whincup back to Bright. It's 4.6 seconds, so Jason's not nearly as convincing, and if anything, Will Davison is clawing him in at the moment.
And Whincup and Lowndes are doing identical lap times, 57.3s, as Scott Pye makes a bit of contact with the Darrell Lee Commodore of Jonathan Webb.
All happening back
pushes
here,
and shoves and argues.
Because it's a change. It was a different scenario on the previous lap, because Webb got by Scott Pye at the same spot. So they're having a very good dice.
Kelly is in 18th there in the Jack Daniels Nissan. He and Todd went up to Newman, one of the mining communities, earlier in the week. They took the transporter and said it was like being on the moon, just miles from anywhere, nothing but rocks.
Do you reckon the Scott Pye versus Jonathan Webb deal's done yet?
No, because there was a dive at turn 6. We're going to watch them in a second, because they'll come into the back of shot. And Webb might just have enough gap on him this time to get him clear of Scott Pye for the braking area. Young Scott McLaughlin's gone way back now to 13th. Mark Winterbottom just made that pass.
And on the effort versus result graph, there's more effort being exerted here at the moment in the fight to the death for 20th. But there's not a lot on the result side of that XY chart. It's amazing, and this is one of the things that the newcomers find is pretty tough about this level of the competition with these guys, is all the way literally to last place. It's on. There is no relaxation. They're fighting pretty hard back there at the moment, these fellas.
I can't believe, and we've said it all weekend, how wide. So that's Moffat, who's got by Tander. So he was behind Garth Tander on the previous lap. So he's made a pass down at turn 6. So that's a very good job. That's going to put James Moffat into 8th position.
And if he stays there, season best result for James Moffat.
What I was saying about the turn into Kolb was how wide the Kelly boys are when they turn those Jack Daniels Nissans in versus the guys in the Norton cars. They've got 2 totally different lines down there.
Dean Fiore and Alex Davison added here on the run through 2 and 3. I think the best we've seen from the Ultima so far this year has been Rick Kelly with a 7th. So James Moffat's nudging up to being very close to delivering season best for those guys.
And it'll be 3 out of 3 top 10s for James Moffat.
It's going to be another Holden victory, it seems. Jamie Whincup looking very, very strong at the moment. They've just marched on with it. A gap to...
So it came 1 lap earlier than we expected.
Thank you.
A time-certain finish at the death, and Jamie Whincup makes it back-to-back.
We made it a little bit difficult for ourselves. Not your fault, but good comeback. Perfect.
And that delivers Red Bull Racing Australia a clean sweep at Barbagallo. Lowndes second, Jason Bright third.
Incredible recovery when you consider that in that break we saw him skating off on the fluid. Roland Dane and his troops at Red Bull Racing Australia, and there's the man.
Like the fires, smoke the tires, brothers. We don't need these.
We don't need these, all right.
They'll be well and truly done and dusted. Use them for coffee tables. But they've done a beautiful job, haven't they, these guys, this weekend? And as I said, that's a very impressive recovery. And remember that he's after title number 5, Jamie, and a hat-trick of titles if he can pull it off. He's got the number 1 on the car.
And look at that. James Moffat finishes 8th. But what about Chaz Mostert? Congratulations to the 21-year-old, top 10 in his first weekend of full-time V8 supercar racing. And that's a great reward for Dick Johnson Racing too, for putting their faith in Chaz.
It's interesting. He went for a test pre-race to Morgan Park in Queensland, and Mark Winterbottom actually said at that point he'll be in the top 10 in Western Australia, and that's exactly what he's delivered. So very impressive, and any time that anybody can jump into this field and be there, then you know that they're going to be serious players in the years to come.
You can't find where he is.
I think he's lost sight of the curb down there too.
That's right, he ran over the curb a second ago. You work it out, there he is, he just come over the curb.
If he's not careful, when that smoke clears, he might find a wall sitting in front of him.
Well, he'll either get hung up on that curb, those tyres will be totally destroyed. They were bad before he started this process.
Oh, dear.
And there's young Chaz, what a great drive.
And this is invigorating for Dick Johnson Racing as well. Cooperation between their organisation and the boys at Ford Performance Racing. I was frankly surprised that he didn't get a run in the main game this year with some of the performances we saw from him in the Dunlop Series last year.
So how's that when you can walk away from your first weekend? He admitted to us, I was speechless. This is one hell of a game I'm playing here. He walks away in 3 races with a 15th, a 15th and a 10th. He's in there somewhere. Yeah. Where is he? A little bit smoky. It's been incredible to watch Jamie Whincup at the start of this season with that steely focus of his and just having to be patient to wait for what he's been used to over the last few years, which is dominance. And now it's starting to come back to him, especially this weekend. So 2 out of 2 for today, and his teammate, of course, yesterday. Incredible, isn't it? Ford Performance Racing did the clean sweep here last year with Mark Winterbottom winning the first race and then Will Davison the final 2. And Their rivals on the Holden side, Red Bull Racing Australia, have now repeated that in 2013.
Yeah, want to congratulate this guy. Well done, Jamie. Mate, for me, the sign of a true champion driver and team is the ability to come to a circuit like you have this weekend. It wasn't ideal, mate, you said at the outset, but you've turned it around to race wins, been in the sand trap and still got the checker.
Yeah, unbelievable team effort by everyone. You know, we've been fighting hard. Wouldn't say we've been struggling, but yeah, we've really turned the wick up this weekend, and hopefully we can carry this momentum on for the rest of the year. But big thanks to Lownsy. He didn't make it too difficult for me. We raced hard like we didn't race one. So yeah, he's you know, both of us have been working hard to improve these cars, and it's finally starting to pay off.
And we see the results of that, mate. People at home probably don't realise. I mean, I see you guys. You're here at night. You're sitting with your engineers. You're going through the fine detail, giving the feedback, and that's really what it takes, isn't it?
It's a huge team effort, you know, and you know, just getting one car up the front. Like, so we've had a couple of good. I felt the win when Lownsy crossed the line first. You know, yeah, on race one, and hopefully he does the same in race three.
I love it when you earn it, mate, and I reckon you've earned it today, so well done. Hey, Craig Lowndes, I know you're going to be a little bit tough on Jeff. It's been a great weekend for you in one regard. Best ever. However, a little blue on the restart there and let your buddy go by.
Yeah, look, I think that it was a combination. We didn't have a full set of tyres for that last run, so I think that's what hurt us ultimately. You know, Jamie obviously had some great pace in that last race, and he deserved it. Like, as you said, he's been through the gravel trap, he's been through the wars, managed to come back. So it's look, it's been a great team effort for all of us, and you know, as you said, hopefully the momentum kicks on, and just got to say hello to Levi and Chile out there, and of course, you know, roll on Texas.
Well, can't wait for that one, mate. Quick read on the weekend. Your highest high and your lowest low this weekend?
Oh, I wouldn't say the lowest low. I think that, of course, the first race today, we had everything going against us. Bridie had a bad start. I thought I was reminiscing in Scafey's days in the old GTRs, trying to get the four-wheel drive traction off the grass. Doesn't work. So we got back on. We stayed out of trouble. We had a problem in the pit lane. They're those things that are just part of motor racing. I think that, you know, we'll obviously rectify that and we'll move on. And as I said, yeah, look forward to Texas.
Mate, couple of old cattlemen, you and me. We can't wait to get over there. Jason Bright, mate, look, I don't know what to say. I reckon you've had every capability to win this weekend. Things didn't quite go that way, but your cars, fast circuit, slow circuit, bumpy circuit, smooth circuit, they're fast everywhere now, mate. It must make you feel good.
No, absolutely, yeah. I think we certainly had the pace to win races, but, you know, when you're not sort of winning, it's still good to get a couple of podiums, and, you know, the guys did a great job in the pit stop there. We had a good set of tyres to go to the end there, a set of greens, but something went wrong after that last restart, and, you know, it's like our corner weights went out, or we had a tyre going down, and just couldn't turn right for love nor money, and there's too many right-handers here.
It's tough around here, Bridie. I've talked about you a couple of times this weekend. Remember way back maybe 10 years ago, you dropped a cylinder, a spark plug lead off 7 cylinders, still got on the podium. It goes to show how important drivability of the race cars here is, not necessarily power.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a funny old day. That was a long time ago. You got a good memory, and but yeah, no, it is a great track. You know, I love racing here. It's you know, this tyre life is so important, and the cars are moving around, and, you know, you can sort of work on people and get past them. But you want to say hello to Lucy and Lenny and my mum and dad who didn't make it this weekend, but you know, they'll be at Texas.
Well, yet again, great to see the BJR cars up there in the top 3. Well done, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Well, there's some smiles down here at DJR. The vibe in here is fantastic. Obviously, a fantastic result by Chaz Mosler. He started 11th, finished 10th, debuting here at Barbagallo, mate. Solid result. Yesterday, obviously, you learned a few lessons. I reckon you managed to make it all work for you today a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. Yesterday, you know, I went out the gun like I would in DBS, you know, burn up tyres a bit too hard. But after talking to the engineer and that, and all the guys giving me a kick up the bum, you know, I decided to, you know, manage a bit at the start. And I'm lucky there's some safety cars in there because that all helps.
Absolutely. And you go to a track that no one knows next time at Texas. I mean, that's going to give you a little bit of an advantage that obviously well, not an advantage that everyone else doesn't have either. So you're looking pretty good in respect to that. You can learn the track just like everybody else, and hopefully, you know, show us what you got again.
Yeah, that's for sure, and hopefully it looks after the tyres, that track, a bit better than this one. But yeah, looking forward to it. You know, DJR put a great car on the track today for me, and big thank you to Wilson Security, Shell, and also Crimsafe. So thanks for that, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to be in this main series.
Awesome job by Chaz Mostert and the DJR team this weekend.
Yeah, well done, Murph, and well said, Chaz Mostert, and welcome to the V8 Supercar Championship. You have made your presence known straight away. So this is the championship picture as we head overseas to Texas for our next round. Jamie Whincup will take a 65-point lead there, so it's been a big swing around against Will Davison. Scott McLaughlin still inside the top 10. Let's get to the podium with Aaron Noonan.
Time for the podium for race 12 of the 2013 V8 Supercars Championship. In first place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. In second place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes. In third place for Team BOC, Jason Bright. And representing the winning team from Red Bull Racing Australia, the engineer on car 1, Mark Dutton. To present the third place trophy, the Honourable Alyssa Hayden representing the Minister for Tourism. Presenting the second place trophy, Ben Purcell, Managing Director of Browns Chill. To present the winning team award, Paul Miles, member for Wanneroo. And the first place trophy to our winner, the Honourable Terry Waldron, Minister for Sport and Recreation. Ladies and gentlemen, your podium finishes in race 12 of the Chill Perth 360 at Barbagallo Raceway.
So 2 podiums for the weekend for both Craig Lowndes and Jason Bright. Jamie Whincup was up there all weekend. 2 firsts and a second, and the championship lead to boot. So they've got themselves well and truly back into that winning groove, Red Bull Racing Australia. It was a tough start for those on the right-hand side of our screen because there was some oil down there left behind from the V8 Ute race. And as a combination of that and the fact that Mark Winterbottom got a really good start, Craig Lowndes went from second to third by the time they got to turn 1. Maro Engel ended up in the dirt. And then this was extraordinary. How they missed the wall is incredible. Both Todd Kelly and Alex Premer.
And not just the wall, didn't clobber anybody going through turn 4, and that little bit of fluid that you saw coming from Maro Engel's Mercedes-Benz was what tipped off these guys. Listen to that. Feeding into gear, trying to stop at Mark Winterbottom. You can see Jamie Whincup in the foreground. And then to compound the drama, they had a problem with the right front and the wheel nut for Mark Winterbottom, and that just murdered him. Alex Davison had to bobble. Shane Van Gisbergen went through the Ford Performance Racing pit. That harmed his cause. Will Davison made a mistake and handed a position to Jason Bright. We thought Brighty was going to be stronger at the end. We just heard him explain that had a drama, and that was the door skin coming off Scott McLaughlin's Fujitsu Holden Commodore. On the outside of him there is Will Davison. There's David Reynolds tucked in behind. So in that mid-phase of the race, it just erupted, and there was contact between Russell Ingall and David Wall. Peter's STP safety car coming out while these cars were recovered. They were buried deep, and you can see suspension damage in the front right corner also of David Wall's car. And this was just a gimme. It was so easy for Jamie Whincup off the final corner. Craig Lowndes got crossed up, didn't have a quick run onto the straight. Contact between Alex Davison and Tim Blanchard, resulting in Tim having a quick rotation and stopped safely out of harm's way, but unfortunately dropped a heap of spots along the way. And then second straight victory today for Jamie Whincup. Not a bad position to end up in, off the pole. And all of a sudden, as he said, using his words from earlier in the day, the mojo is back, and impressive performance.